what would be the process?
Basically,
Because it
give
kind
us
of
like the
felt
lowest
like
lease rate, and so we can push that exclusively to our members.
looking at
Here today.
Oh yeah,
Very, very.
yeah.
So, if you're interested
Yeah, I mean, there's
seating,
times, you know,
we have
$15, $20
interviews
Yeah,
at
yeah,
the end of December.
All right. Okay, well, very good.
Yeah, do you have those card on you?
I don't, but yeah.
You can
You can leave a card. I'll follow up.
We actually we got rid of we acquired the Zub.com, so it's afterward.
Okay. Congrats on the other day for that.
That's 7,800. Yeah, it's good trick and change, but I think now's the time versus more momentum later.
Right. All right. I'll be in touch.
Great to meet you.
Yeah.
This is a
Hey, how are you?
very stupid question,
Nice to meet you.
but it feels like if we did a lot of effort in a interview, besides the content, we could meet a lot of expectations.
Sure.
Your role is exactly 6 months back. Does that signal to investors that we did not want to push her? How does that come across?
I would say it was signal as
It's a weird
wanting to
signal.
focus on your company rather than focus on finding and meeting investors, wanting to
Yeah.
focus on the things that matter most. Delighting your customers, finding more of them. That's
So to touch on the product, it's global confusing because we're going through rebranding, but the app right now is actually called Party Tutor.
And so if we don't launch that sales,
And then
we're
there's
still
another
building
app
out
or
features
company I started
by
previously, which is the
next
app
month.
so I agree.
Does that not work?
Do you know our debit card?
that decision is ultimately up to you.
So we're going to
Just send it.
Typically, just have to send emails that So, yeah, sorry, I need to get the
Go for it.
presentation. I can do it. Let me make sure. James, make sure you have a plate.
Yeah, Noah sent the PDF. Hey, Damon, can you try it with the fonts? Daniel did that before. It just didn't work before. Can you try it one time? Noah sent the PDF though. So
No, I'm the one that was responding to you and yelling at you guys. I don't know why we keep having these problems. But the fonts, so what did you just do?
I didn't do anything.
So I mean, all the fonts are in the folder, and then it opens up and it opens up.
How did we do the fonts last year?
There was one time where we had added to the computer, it might have not been this computer.
So we acquired the Zub.com, so I do
Okay. We're good? Okay, thank you guys. Sorry. Yeah, that was great. Thank you.
Alan, I need your presentation.
Yeah, and I'm over, of course, in Orlando, Florida. I'm here for the next few months for fundraising purposes.
Thank you, Daniel.
Send it to you right now.
You want to airdrop it?
I can email.
Playing up the market, but we're looking probably at and that might be
Can you make sure, Warren, you got your plate? Oh, please, hurry, yeah, your plate. Can you make sure all the investors are getting their plates? David, you're good? You got food already?
I'm good, yeah. Thank you. Okay, so that's a...
Yeah, the burger. Yeah, so the burger thing will be later though than usual. We're gonna do office hours with Jason. Jason's office hours usually go like 2 hours instead of 1 hour. So you're more than welcome to kind of hang out in the back, hang out there. You saw there was space out there, and kind of join us for burgers.
Okay, yeah. I may just sit in back for that because I sat in for once and it's great to see it.
Yeah, I agree. It's it is an enjoyable experience.
Maybe less enjoyable for you.
No, I mean it doesn't. It's still fun. I always enjoy talking.
Okay, I just sent you a link to it.
Send to me or Steve?
To you. You want me to send it to a different address?
Yeah.
And we're doing it in the order that were listed on the back of the sheet?
No, you are second.
Second, okay, cool.
I'm gonna send out the LI9 note.
Great, thank you.
Hey, Warren.
My job in life is much more steady. Not really many highs, not many lows.
I don't know what that's like.
No, you wouldn't.
I haven't had that for. Maybe one day.
It's less exciting.
I feel like it's like grass is greener. I honestly can't decide which one. Like, there's something nice about stability, and there's something nice about instability. I guess I'm more on the side of instability, which is how I got myself here.
Yeah.
50 people drop.
Yeah. Bad week. I had 8 people today.
Yeah. So who's all here? Only 3?
Hey Chris, can I use your pen during mine?
Yeah.
Thank you.
I
lost
have
mine.
another. I'll give you my other. This is a special pen. It's a camera.
Oh,
This notebook syncs to
like
Evernote.
Evernote? Oh my
Yeah.
god, do you like it? I wanted to do that. I want to do it.
It's fucking awesome. Yeah.
I feel like I wasn't enough for this today.
You don't.
Whenever you go first, I feel like you're just like, it's weird, right?
Break it open. Just own it.
I know.
You can crush these things. Like just kill it.
It always feels weird.
David, you want to take your seats? Rob never get lunch?
Oh, let me get you.
Have I made you paranoid about it, though, yet?
Okay, everybody, please take your seats. Take your seats. And we're going to start up.
Yes, ready?
It's a nice cut. I like that cut. Tight is right. Looking good. I like the cut. It's nice.
I never know which side.
Put your hands through that when you shampoo.
Like, I didn't.
Right, where to go?
I always know which.
Shampoo go.
I'm like, that's not how I normally do it.
Okay, everybody.
This is good. This way, right.
Quickly. If you're getting food, you have to move faster.
No,
You're
that's
moving far too slow. Let's go. Here we go. All right, packed house today. Okay. So this is week number 10, JD? Am I right, Daniel? Is this week 10 for LI9?
I don't remember.
No, what week is it? 9? Is it 9 for 9?
You're right.
9 for 9. This class has 8 companies. You saw how efficiently we got through the last 2. I'm going to ask you, remember, judges, really great questions, concise questions about the business. Really appreciate that. Very well done. Now you're going to see these companies have been in the program for 9 weeks. The last set of companies in Launch Accelerator 10 have been in it for 2 weeks. So you should see a big difference in terms of how they answer questions, how they present their companies. It's going to be tighter. And they're going to anticipate a lot of your questions. But they're still going to have the constraint of 3 minutes to present their idea. One note for the folks in LI 10. Make sure you watch the presentations of the companies that get the most votes and ask yourself, what do they have that we don't? What have they accomplished that we haven't? What are they doing in their presentation that we're not? In some cases, it's going to be like with takeoffs, some interesting defensible technology that came up a bunch. Sometimes it's going to be something related to traction. Whenever you have traction, when a chart is up and to the right, 5% week over week, 20% month over month, investors want to know why. Why? Why did you, and how did you get there? Okay, that was good. Too much noise. What are we doing here? Let's get going. All right. 3 minutes on the clock. In 3, 2, go.
Hi, I'm Amanda Greenberg. I'm the co-founder and CEO of Ballooner. Our business tools and processes, meetings, email, Slack, don't address the way our brains actually work in a group setting. They don't account for things like louder, more senior voices dominating conversations. And people hold back their best ideas and their most valuable, authentic feedback because of a fear of failure or judgment. And this costs companies billions, and really bad decision-making stalled innovation and decreased productivity. We built Ballooner, an anonymous collaborative platform that accelerates time to wisdom and really creates that idea meritocracy. Here's how it works. One of our customers, Christine, a product owner at BMW, needs to surface and prioritize product features as part of an upcoming build. So she selects a flight plan. This one's for feature prioritization. She invites a group, and that group goes together through a special stage flow, where they're first anonymously creating and launching balloons, which are the ideas, the feedback. They're doing this without anchoring bias, interruptions, or fears. Discussing those balloons without titles, identities, pleasantries, courtesies getting in the way. Completing a merit-based vote without groupthink. And when the flight's done, the results are revealed. And Christine has access to a top list of ideas and feedback. She also gets access to a Ballooner score, which gives her information about approval, buy-in. And although Ballooner is anonymous, users are able to remove anonymity and claim their contributions, receiving credit for what they put out there. Christine shared with us that not only did Ballooner help her surface and prioritize new product features, those product features improved customer experience. These are some of our other paying customers. Ballooner is used by teams and companies of all different sizes across many different industries. And these are some additional customer success stories. Our customers are really seeing the power. Capital One identified barriers to advancement and development, saying that they were shocked by the humanness of information shared on Ballooner. The LA Angels improved scouting. And Dartmouth reduced meeting time by 70%, saying that once you use Ballooner, it's impossible to imagine doing things the old way. We're selling SaaS subscriptions. We're landing and expanding. We're at around 250K ARR, projected to hit 500K late Q4, early Q1 of next year, with a $4 million pipeline, majority of which has been inbound. And the opportunities in front of us are huge. We're surfacing new, unique, critical data. So the big opportunity is a platform play, leveraging our true data set, which to date has been unreachable. We're a Dartmouth Carnegie Mellon founding team. We've built and designed apps for IBM, Bloomberg, even the Dalai Lama. I'm Amanda. We're Ballooner. We're ballooning unreachable knowledge. Thank you so much. Excited to answer questions.
Okay, well done. During your 12 weeks in the incubator, you were tracking a statistic. As we get into weeks 8, 9, 10, it'll be good to look at where you started and where you're at. Yeah. So this is the power move, LI10, take note as well. LA10, sorry, Launch Accelerator. We started the program 9 weeks ago. In those 9 weeks, we've doubled revenue. In those 9 weeks, we've tripled the number of inbound leads, whatever it is. So not just week over week, you can do the power move and do week over week and to date in the incubator. Tell us, what are you tracking in the incubator, Amanda?
Yes, so we actually changed our metric this week because we were previously tracking outbound to demo conversion. We, just at the beginning of the incubator, started outbound. We saw a really high conversion to demo rate of 15%, really knowing that we were hitting those right personas and the right buyer. And so now we've started tracking customers booked for the V2 version of our product, which we're transitioning to right now. So we have booked 6 of those companies, 30K additional in revenue. 2 of those, though, I should mention, are paid pilots that we expect to expand at contract signing to 100K plus. Yes, yes, yes.
Okay, let's take questions from our judges.
All right. It's impressive that you signed the customers that you have, because I'll admit I am a big skeptic of that the anonymity thing can work, because basically every app that's ever tried it that I've seen has failed. So I'd be interested to learn a little bit more about what you've done in there to make it work, and whether you think you've actually cracked that code, or if it's going to break down as this scales.
I guess my question is, from a product perspective, are you changing existing workflows, right? And how does, because you know, we have meetings, and then we decide things at the end of meetings, and then we move on with our lives. So how does all that work, and is that a barrier to sell?
I was actually going to ask the exact same question, which is, what are you changing in terms of workflow? But don't want to repeat it.
Can you expand on your sales team, your sales cycle, and what type of customer are you going after, size-wise?
What's your biggest learning since you've launched, and what is that? What have you changed because of that?
I really like how this could handle implicit bias, but I also like that at the end people could claim what they said. But I'm just wondering how that works. If a decision's been made and they claim it, are people going back to the site to know? Like, how does that actually work?
Okay, great. So, Rob, starting with you in terms of anonymity. So, things that we've done to really go, I guess, counter that and ensure success. One is we require email login. So people, although they know that they're anonymous, they can be tracked back to their identity if they go against their company's code of conducts. Across all of these different companies, we've never had an issue with inappropriate information or content. We've actually built an off-topic button. We've never rolled it out because we've never needed to, because Ballooner is used in ways, and this really leads into the workflow question, but used in ways that are really core to a company. So I shared the BMW example, and I shared some additional examples, but when you're making decisions around product, project work, project retrospectives, what worked, what didn't work, when you're doing process improvement, or you're sharing best practices or better practices, that's really where Ballooner is plugged in. Another thing is that we do have the claiming feature, David. So people are able to claim things at the end, put their name on their balloon if they want to, or they can remain anonymous. So people are incentivized to contribute in a really meaningful way, knowing that they can get credit. So they have all the benefits of anonymity, but they also get that credit for their contributions at the end. Okay, so in terms of changing existing workflows, so fitting into existing workflows, so I shared that one flight plan. We have hundreds of those different flight plans. So for project work, sales, marketing, I mean, you name it, like all these different functional areas. So people know like when they can get that feedback, when they can get that information. And, you know, maybe they cancel a meeting. Maybe instead they come to a meeting and have it much shorter because they've surfaced that information beforehand. Sales team. So we have one growth person on our team. Majority of our pipeline I shared has been inbound. We started outbound targeting key personas and then getting them over into a demo. We've seen with these bookings since like new outbound, we're closing in 30 to 45 days. We haven't rolled out self-service yet. It's on our roadmap for late December, early January to roll out from there. And I can answer all of your other questions afterwards. Thank you so much, Amanda.
Okay, well done. Next is Tribal Metrics, another company created by Launch Incubator or Launch Fund alumni. So just like Rob May, we're investing in this founder for the second time. 3 minutes on the clock, 3, 2, go.
I'm Peacock with Tribal Metrics, and it is currently November 1st, which means that companies all over are engaged in a year-end process. The annual performance review. Now, performance reviews are incredibly important. They surface a lot of really valuable information, but a lot of our employees and managers view them as medieval torture because the tools are so terrible and they're so time-consuming, more importantly. It takes a lot of time to do 360-degree reviews, and yet they surface a ton of really great data. So what if you could replace all that with one radically simple question asked over and over throughout the year, not just every quarter, not just at the end of the year, not just every month, but actually every day, multiple times. And what if, because of the simplicity of that question and how quick it is to answer, you can get a high degree of engagement with your employees? In our case, we're seeing 83% and above engagement in answering this question every day. And because they're answering it with such frequency, we collect continuous data, and an enormous amount of it that can surface other things other than just the answer to this question. So in addition to performance information, we can draw signal from this that gives us a detail about engagement, about collaboration, about dysfunctions in the org as well. Employees can see their own score at any time. They can also see their average aggregate team score so they can sort of level set against how they're doing on their own team. Of course, managers get to see the scores of all their direct reports. And this unlocks really some things that weren't possible before. For example, if a manager wants to bring up this chart in a one-on-one that they have, it's ready to go. They don't have to send out an email or goad their employees into doing the data. It's already there. Likewise, if HR wants to use this as part of their annual performance review, the data is ready to go. There's no getting on your teams to do the reviews and getting them to quit doing other things. It's just always there and ready to go. Because this data is actually so rich that one question provides rich enough data that we can give nudges to managers and to teams as well to take action when needed. So a dive in a score, a sustained dive, a sustained rise might be an opportunity for a manager to express gratitude. Likewise, here's an example of a signal you wouldn't expect to get out of this. This is Jane. She is one of the highest performing engineers on your team. Her own performance scores have remained high, but the scores she's giving out to her team have taken a nosedive. And that might indicate that she is dissatisfied with her current work environment. Normally, managers learn about this when Jane comes to tell them, I'm sorry, I've taken another job, and I'll be leaving in 2 weeks. With Tribal, because this data is continuous, because it's being collected every day, we can surface that a lot quicker and allow managers to really get on top of this and take corrective action. The model is a simple freemium model. Freemium because we want teams and individual managers to be able to adopt this without getting out the credit card. Once they pay, they get access to historical data, which we think is really valuable, as well as deeper integrations. Finally, the team is a bunch of, as Jason said, Clint and I co-founded Space Monkey several years ago, and we've got the team back together to do this after learning a lot of tough lessons about managing high-performing teams. So, thank you.
Fantastic. Big round of applause. Tell us, what metric are you tracking over the 12 weeks of the accelerator?
Great. So we're tracking engagement. We think that's key, since the key aspect of this is how simple and will people answer the question. We're keeping a close eye on that, especially as we tweak the question and tweak the way that people can respond to it. The other metrics we're tracking are, of course, how many people and how many companies are using the tool. I think we're one of the youngest in the accelerator in this batch, but we are keeping an eye on that, trying to grow sales. So.
Okay, well done. Let's take questions from our judges.
Okay, thanks a lot. I really like this space. I think it's ripe for something, but it seems like there's a lot out there. I mean, Launch has 15.5 that is similar space, so I'm wondering how you differentiate yourself. And then also the daily check-in, my concern is that it would become rote. People wouldn't really think about it if it's daily. And also, what if you just don't see someone or work with them that day? I'm just wondering, is daily too often?
Great.
On the product side, I'm just curious, when one of your screenshots had that the person communication needs to improve. How do you actually get that? Because I thought it was just one answer. So I'm just, if it's underperforming, is there another set of things that people can pick?
Okay. So 2 questions, and you just asked one, but is it really just one question you're asking every single day? And then 2, in regards to this chart, I guess my question is from a company standpoint, how big are these companies in terms of employees? So you said 83% usage. Can we do the math there?
I'm curious about the conversion rates from freemium to paying and how you see that transition. I can see this as a good freemium type of tool. I'm just not sure the willingness to pay is there, but I would love to hear your comment.
Yeah, I'm curious if there's any science behind the question itself, right? There's the Adam Grant stuff, or the disagreeable givers, and is this just are you gonna end up just rewarding people who make people happier?
And my questions were covered by everybody else, so I'll give you a break.
Okay, great. Right, we ready? All right. So let's start from the back and move forward. Yes, there is some science behind this. In fact, we were first inspired by some studies that had been published in HBR. So Ted, there was a question. I think it was a Deloitte group that did some performance review analysis and narrowed it down to just 4 questions instead of 120 or 160. That was our starting point. We took it to a further extreme. Like I said, this is kind of a crazy idea to just boil it down to 1. And related to that, the political question, does this create politics? That's something we're keeping a really close eye on with this initial groups as well, and trying to do very frequent interviews with these users who are using it to try to suss that out. Freemium conversion, we don't have a lot of good data on that yet, partly because we're so early that we haven't, we've got a lot of these pilots have said, let me pay, I'll pay you today, and we haven't actually started taking their payments. So that's something that we are working furiously on to get that set up to take payment. Is it really just one question? It's a great question, Warren. So for the most part, yes. There are some secondary questions that get asked less frequently. When an employee's score starts to nosedive, we might ask some of the people that rated them lowly, what could this person do most to improve today? Just to get one of those core, and we give them options like communication, leadership, technical capability, all the normal core competencies. Likewise, we do allow employees to annotate their scores and to annotate other people's scores, and that's a voluntary action that they can do via a different command. So they can say, I was out sick for a week and my score went down. Size of companies, yeah. So we are in both very small startups as well as we're doing pilots in larger, 3,000 size companies. So that's yet to be seen which of those is more fruitful, but that we're testing that out. Shripriya, yeah. The other signals. How do we get communication? So one interesting thing is we noticed that particularly when there are more than one group using the tool, that if the internal scores versus the external scores, it can indicate some miscommunication. Likewise, these follow-up questions can do that as well. So, thank you.
Okay, well done. Big round of applause, and let's welcome Panty Prop. 3 minutes on the clock in 3, 2, 2.5, go.
Hi, I'm Crystal, the CEO and founder of Panty Prop, and we've made a feminine care solution for people who are unable to use alternatives such as tampons. Recent health studies have shown that girls are starting puberty as early as 9 years old, and many are unable to use alternatives such as tampons. And it's not because they don't want to, it's because their bodies are physically unable to insert a tampon. And sanitary pads are completely ineffective for everyday use. And as I grew the company, I realized this problem goes beyond teens. It's the special needs community, women that have regular common medical health issues such as endometriosis, PCOS, uterine fibroids, the disabled community. And then what about people who have gender or cultural restrictions? Current products today are completely ineffective. They slip, they fail, they leak, and they have very limited use. You can't use a pad everywhere you go. So what we built was a reusable, patent-pending technology that not only is leak-proof, but it also will secure a sanitary pad perfectly in place, and it will also angle under the cavity of the body to collect your flow immediately on onset. So it's failure-free, and you can wear it anywhere. So in retrospect, what we built was an all-in-one solution that's just as simple as wearing a pair of jeans. We have underwear, swimwear, sleepwear, and swimwear, and activewear that you can wear all day, every day. So we are bridging that gap between health, hygiene, and comfort, and we're the only product right now that is that in-between solution between pads and tampons. The sanitary care market is a $42 billion market that actually was one of the top 5 markets that actually survived the recession. And why? Because 50% of the population suffer from incontinence or menstruation. Our products are priced affordably. Our average order size is $86. And to date, we have $4.5 million in sales. From year 1 to year 2, we grew 400%. And we've already surpassed our 2008 projection of $2.3 million by $1 million and being at $3.1 million this year. So what's the difference between us and them, the competitor? We are the only company that's in the femtech space that can actually boldly and blatantly make that statement, no tampon required. So we solve the real problem for anyone, anytime, and anywhere. Our team makes up myself, who has 20 years of business operation, Nicole has 11 years at Procter & Gamble, and Lauren has 7 years in fashion tech. So we're in the middle of a rebrand so that we can become that most trusted feminine care brand when it's needed most. So join us in making feminine care for the world without any limitations.
Okay, well done. Tell us about the weekly metric you've been tracking over the past 9 weeks in the incubator.
Been tracking sales, which is the most important. October and November is our slowest months, and then we plan to pick back up. We usually average about 80 to 100 a week, and we've been averaging about 50 to 65 per week for those times, and we expect it to remain that for this month also.
Fantastic. Let's take questions from our judges.
I'm curious about your distribution channels, how you sell and distribute the product today, and then do you see that changing over time, or do you need it to change to really hit scale?
Yeah, I'm curious about how you're thinking about the brand, because you have there's a utility function, but it goes across a wide array of different people. And so how do you think about who your customer is, or how do you talk to that customer because you're only going to have one brand and one brand voice, and how you're going to address that?
Yeah, similar question is just how you're targeting the right customer, because it's very specific.
Sales channels is my first, which was asked. But the second, can you tell me about your supply chain? Where are products being made? How are they being distributed?
I'm sorry, you said production?
Yeah, production. Where are they going after that?
So it feels like a recently crowded market with multiple people, and I'm wondering, what is the one line that's going to stand out and kind of talk about your differences, which you kind of talked about in the presentation. From a marketing perspective, how are you thinking about that?
Hi, you talked about a rebrand, so I'm just curious what was happening before and what did you learn that led to you wanting to rebrand?
Great questions. These are actually newer questions that I've never gotten before. So David, what I learned from it was that all those sales that we have, we've had no branding from day one, and we still grew that way. The way we grew that way was because we had a great product over our competitor, which goes into, for the crowded space. We are the number 2 company in this space. And the only reason why we have not reached number 1 is because we have had no branding. We've had limited funds, and we just haven't really did much digital marketing until this year. Why are we different is because we created a full solution for people not to worry all day. No one wants to carry around extra underwear in their bag. It's just a full solution that we created across all of our collection and all of our products. Our production is made, we're all made in the USA. Our production facility is in Brooklyn, New York. And it's a large facility. They have production in Brooklyn, and they also have production facilities in China also. But we only use the Brooklyn side of it. Who is our customer? Our main customer are moms with teen and tweens. That's what we're focused on right now. That's where the bulk of our sales have generated from. In the long run, we intend to get into more faces of what our core customer is and are, and that's how we intend to grow. And our distribution channels, we're all online right now. All of those sales that I showed you are all through our website, pantyprop.com. Nothing more than that.
Okay, well done.
I'm Crystal, CEO and founder of Panty Prop. Thank you.
Okay, well done. Next up is Tutor Me. 3 minutes on the clock. Nice job, Crystal. Okay, Miles, are you ready?
Ready.
3, 2, go.
Hi, everyone. I'm co-founder and CEO of Tutor Me, where we're improving student success through effective online tutoring. So not too long ago, when I was an undergrad at USC, I really struggled with being able to find an effective tutoring option. Like most colleges across the country, USC has a tutoring center or an academic success center where they provide free tutoring to all students. The problem is you actually have to go there. It's really only open from 9 to 5, Monday through Friday. There's limited subjects. You have to schedule these in advance in 1-hour blocks. So we set out to create a solution to the problem. Fast forward to now, we're working with over 36 colleges, from your small community colleges all the way up to your public state schools. So for a school that partners with Tutor Me, a student would access the platform through their LMS, which is a central student portal. So they would log in, they would see Tutor Me as a tool on the sidebar, click on it, and they seamlessly go into our platform where they're able to describe their problem and then upload any relevant files, and then it goes into a matching process where it finds a tutor typically under 30 seconds, and the average time is actually 18.2 seconds across 300 plus subjects. So then you go into a proprietary lesson space where the tutor and the student can collaborate and work on their homework or assignments and study, and to really mimic the in-person tutoring experience. So the business model is B2B2C, which I just mentioned, is directly selling to the schools and charging $25 to $36 an hour. Then there's the other model, which is completely organic at this point, which is consumers, students actually just going to this public-facing site and paying out of pocket for subscriptions. So in terms of traction, we have 36 paying colleges, but what I'm most excited about is that none of those colleges have left us when they've run out of hours. They repurchase the hours, and we have a total of 50,000 plus hours that we've completed. So 2017 revenue is 730,000. Year to date is 1.2 million, and we're on track to do 1.4 this year. So just some of the testimonials from the student and the tutor, the student and the admin perspective. It really makes the admin's job easier with all the analytics and feedback they can get from the actual platform. They can really help them with course design, and the students obviously love it because it's really a lifeline to their academic success. In terms of market size, there's 4,700 colleges. So 20% of that market at a 75,000 ACV, which is pretty conservative, is about $70 million. And that's without any international market, any K-12, or any real B2C actual paid advertising or any kind of resources spent on that. So thank you, I'm CEO and co-founder of Tutor Me, where we're improving student success through effective online tutoring.
Okay, well done. Big round of applause. And tell us about your weekly metric.
So the lifeblood of the company is obviously tutoring hours, so we're tracking that week to week. So we're on track to break the 1,000 hours this week, since we're halfway through.
Fantastic. Let's take questions from our astute and insightful judges. Thank you,
Miles. You said it takes an average 18.2 seconds to make a match. I just wasn't clear. Is that then the session is starting right away? Like I need a tutor and I get one immediately and I start the lesson, or I'm just matched with someone and then, in the next couple of days we have a session together?
I was curious where you got the tutors from. And then I wasn't clear who was paying for the tutoring. Was it the student who ended up paying for it? Because you said the college bought hours, so I was just curious how that worked.
Two questions. One, how are you getting the tutors? But then how are they compensated? And then 2, are you looking at any other markets outside of colleges?
Similar question, but who's vetting and what is the vetting process? Is the school vetting it, or is TutorMe vetting the tutors?
Yeah, good job. There have been a bunch of tutoring companies in the past that have failed. Like, what have they done wrong, and what's the insight that you have?
I'm curious, when you do the deals with the colleges, do you rely on the colleges to promote the service to the students, or do you do that on your own?
All right, so David, does the session start right away? So yeah, the matching time is when you actually go into a lesson with a tutor. So what we do is we put them into a waiting room after they've been matched, where they can actually make the final. So we really empower the student to make the final decision whether they want to continue with that tutor. So then, yeah, so from the moment that they actually match to they actually go into a lesson, it's a matter of seconds. So it's on demand for sure. And so where are the tutors from, and then who pays the tutors? So the tutors come all organically. We haven't paid for any kind of tutor recruitment. It's because we're the #1 result on anything similar to how to become an online tutor, or how to become a tutor online. So that really helps us with getting a bunch of inbound applications, about 100 applications completed per day. Who pays for these tutors? So the student pays for it if they come out of just going to the public side and it's the B2C. And if it's actually the B2B2C, where we partner directly with the school would pay for that and then provide it to the student at no cost. So the tutor vetting, we go through a vetting process with mainly just a long application that asks a bunch of questions related to how they would be as a tutor, a bunch of sample questions, and then what really is important is that they go into some mock lessons that they don't know that it's mock ahead of time. So that's kind of the point, and we assess whether the tutor is actually going to be a good tutor based on them actually following our guidelines and training. And then how are we different than other tutoring platforms? I think it's the real on-demand nature. A lot of them say that they're actually on demand, and we actually are. And then there's the additional, like the go-to-market, where we're actually going directly to the schools. That really helps establish credibility. And then kind of that's going to really help us as we go streamline down to B2C market and K-12. We do want to go to K-12 eventually, but the college market is really where all our focus is at right now. And then who promotes it at the colleges that we partner with? We work with them to expand awareness throughout the college with posters, signs. But the best part is that we have some of the best real estate, which is the learning management system. That's where students are logging on 5 times a day. Cool.
Okay, well done. Next up is Loop. We will put 3 minutes on the clock. In 3, 2, go.
Hi, everybody. My name is Brian Gannon, and I'm the co-founder and CEO of Loop. Seems like in the online world is a place for virtually everyone to stay connected, whether it be teens or even neighbors. But there's one missing, and it's huge, and it's right underneath our noses. Family. Loop's vision is to become the place where you stay connected with your family. Now, I know what you're saying. Hey, wasn't there a thing called Path one day? Well, that was really your closest 100 friends. Oh, wait a minute. No, I've got messaging. But really, that's focused on text and confined to small screens. Oh, hang on a minute. I've got Apple Photos, and we've got iPads everywhere. Well, when one person in your family gets Android, the whole system breaks down. What if I told you we've created something that connects everybody, is private, and dare I say, even fun? Well, we did. And it all starts with this magical little box. Introducing Loop, the easiest and the best way to stay connected with your family. Let me show you how it works. Let's say you've got these gorgeous little kids, you took a picture and you want to share it with your family who lives across the country. Do you post it to Facebook? No, of course you don't. That goes to everybody. You post it to Loop. Simply open the app, add a short message, press send. Instantly it shows up in your mom's house, your dad's house, even your own kitchen. And of course, everyone you're invited to the Loop app. You can share pictures, videos, messages, video chat. It's a complete family communication system and your own private family network. So we built it. Does anyone care? Well, we put up a website, a buy button. We sold $1 million in just under 12 weeks. Best Buy took a liking to us. They put us in 50 stores across the country. We sold out that in 4 weeks. So who are these customers? Interesting, Monica, classic customer, 2 kids under the age of 10, family spread out. She started out by buying 3 loops, but those people bought another 5 loops. All told, this one acquisition came out with 8 loops and over 21 app downloads. And there's Tyler. No kids, but parents live in Minnesota. He's living in San Francisco, just looking for an easy way to stay connected. And I'm happy to say our first Gen Z sighting, this punk Michael in Ireland. And kids seem to love it. We're seeing early viral signals. Our average order size was 2.6 units. And for every loop that went active, we saw 3 apps get downloaded. Users spend time in the app. Our core users, over a third of them go into the app over twice a week. Some people have replaced WhatsApp already. Our business, we sell the hardware, of course, but we also have a recurring plan and great opportunities for one-time digital imprints. Amazing team. My co-founder used to run Words with Friends, still the world's most popular mobile game. We are Loop, your family network. Thank you.
Okay, well done. What metric are we tracking week over week?
We are tracking sales. So we started taking pre-orders a handful of weeks ago, and we are still on track, doubling each week. Did 6,000 last week. One curious fact, our average order size has increased, and we're still earlier than Christmas. So for every one, you saw the numbers, 2.6 units, every order we get is about $500, and we see other upwards of $1,000 occasionally too.
Okay, well done. Let's take questions from our judges.
So I'm interested how you protect yourself from, now that Amazon has a touchscreen version of the Echo, how you sort of fend off competition from that and Google Home, which I assume will go in a similar direction.
Yeah, what's the plan for distribution? Where are you going to sell it?
I'm curious, how much of your revenue today is hardware, and is there any subscription? Like, what percentage of that is subscription?
Curious where the product's made.
Did you consider an app-based version versus hardware?
Yeah, similar question with all the different gadgets, Echo, Google Home, et cetera. The idea that people are going to buy yet another one, even though it's super cool, I'd like you to address that.
Sure, that's great. Thank you. Yeah, so probably 3 questions into one about the competition. So a couple things. One is if you see a lot of these, the Google Home and the Amazon Echo, their goal in life is to connect your home and potentially as an avenue of search. So unrelated, frankly, even though they've got a screen, to connecting your family. So our focus on family, we feel quite comfortable with that differentiation. Distribution, yeah, so we've identified over 12 distribution channels everywhere. Obviously, we're starting with Facebook right now, adding in Instagram, YouTube, Amazon, retail, which we've already proven out, and there's a multitude of other channels that we can use, even considering direct mail. So that's really an incredible opportunity for us. Where made, it's in China. And in terms of the app versus the hardware, because I think this is a sort of key question, Loop is an app. Loop is a private social network. That's the core of what we do. Our secret that we found is that by adding this piece of hardware, we're able to complete the circuit and actually deliver the best experience that you could ever imagine. So, thank you.
Okay, well done. And remember, judges, I'm going to ask you shortly for your number 3, your number 2, and your number 1. Next up is Taffy. Please welcome Mel. Wait a second, you're not Mel. Baby or no baby? Where are we at?
No baby. Tomorrow is the beginning of the end.
Okay.
Our CEO.
Yeah. The CEO is pregnant, and she is having a baby momentarily. Okay, 3 minutes on the clock. 3, 2, go.
Hi, I'm Dennis from Taffy, and we are a SaaS company built to connect innovators in tomorrow's healthcare industry. So let's look at some observations from today's healthcare industry. First, hospitals are great at taking care of patients, but bad at using data. They still send faxes and can't handle all the new data sources. So subsequently, there's been an explosion of vendors who are good at using data to create better outcomes for patients' health. There's only one problem. They are bad at getting the data, and who can blame them? This is what it looks like. It's not easily read by human or machine, and the industry's solution is to create standards. But there are currently 36 in use, which means there are no standards. The vendor's dream is to be able to effortlessly get data out of the patient chart and then provide insights back to the hospital. Luckily, Taffy is great at getting data out. We've taken a lot of what rigid services companies offer and made reusable products that offer more flexibility for the price than anyone. So to see how this works, Star from 4D improves outcomes for chronically ill cancer patients through patient engagement. She was taking information from hospitals via phone, email to run her programs, and it didn't scale. So with Taffy, we were able to connect her to clinical data quickly, and we reduced the workload at almost every step of her process. We saved her 80% upfront, and the capability to scale to hundreds of sites quickly and easily made her obviously say that she loves our product and is happy that we're there for her. Another customer is Perfect Serve, their clinical communications provider, and they have clinicians who are using a separate web app to find out messages and where the right care teams were located. And the EMR vendor quoted them months and months to deploy for a single sign-on feature. With us, we were able to do it in much less time, and we can stand them up in new sites in less than 12 hours. So we simplify working with EMRs, and today we work with over 70% of the EMR market, and that's largely because our team has a lot of expertise from the major EMR vendors. And at a time when there's so much potential to take advantage of new data, Taffy is ready to make a meaningful difference. Thank you.
Okay, well done. I know it's a long sales cycle, but tell us, how are you tracking your metrics week over week?
Sure. So we track a couple of things. The first is tech calls. That helps us see how the funnel is moving. And then also authentications that describes kind of how the product is used. Tech calls were kind of at the end of a marketing push, so that should ramp up in the near future. And then authentications, we just went live in a new site, so we had a bump a couple weeks ago.
Okay, well done. Let's take questions from our judges.
Yeah, I know that confidentiality is a huge issue in this field, and you're dealing with all kinds of data between two different people. So I'm just wondering about being HIPAA compliant and how you both assure everybody about that.
So Epic and the other EMRs, their business is to charge their customers to do these integrations, and they take a really long time, as you mentioned. So is it within the contract that you can do this on top of Epic, or how does that, I'm just curious how that works.
Same about privacy, but then I guess in addition, any interaction with like insurance companies.
I think the challenges with data integration within healthcare is building those integrations quickly. How long does it take, and what are the challenges in building those integrations?
The work that Taffy does, how much of it is done by the software and how much of it is done by services? How much intervention are you going to need, and how much will you need in the future?
And I'm curious what the user experience is like for working with this. Does it require a developer with certain knowledge? Does it not require a developer at all? Is it a drag and drop interface? I didn't pick that up from the presentation.
Okay. Yep, great. So David, we are fully HIPAA compliant. We sit on GCP, Google Cloud, which is compliant. We've gone through audits. So we have a long track record of proving out that there's no problems with our software. And we offer flexibility in terms of where the data lives, either on-prem or in the cloud. So that's not a problem. Shripriya, within the contract. So Epic and Cerner and all those, they like to offer the marketplaces and whatnot, but they offer those because it's so hard for vendors to connect. The functional workflows of working around that, because we know the systems, are well within bounds. They don't they don't slap our wrists or anything like that. But we do have technical expertise to be able to get around those extra charging features. Warren, we don't work with insurance companies yet. We've had some inbound interest, and it's definitely something that we're looking at because they are some of the most forward-leaning in terms of blending data from multiple sources. So definitely on our radar. James, it takes kind of with this services component, we've heard the most similar competitors take about 30 hours of hospital IT resource time to stand something up. For an equivalent integration, ours is about 4. And that's because our software largely does most of this. So we get an inbound feed. We ask them for a lot of training data, essentially. Our software runs and maps the interface, and we get it to about 97, 98% matched, and then we can remediate the remaining small bit. And then in terms of who's required on the other side, it depends on what they need. So for the most part, they don't need a sophisticated developer team. It's not quite drag and drop, but it's getting to that point. Dennis at taffy.io, and look forward to talking to you later.
Well done. Let's welcome Corinne with 3 minutes on the clock. 3, 2, go.
Meet Hunter. Hunter is the director of marketing at Ellie. Ellie is a popular clothing brand with young women. Influencer marketing has quickly become the most important piece of Ellie's advertising strategy because the content they create is engaging and cost-effective. And they work with a lot of influencers to create content. Hunter and his team currently create 3,600 pieces every single month. And it's very complex for Hunter to manage this process. He uses a variety of different tools, none of which talk to each other very well. And it leaves him stressed out. It's hard for him to manage his program, let alone grow it over time. Until one day he comes across Grin, the CRM for influencer marketing. Intrigued, he clicks it and signs up. And within 30 days of getting launched inside of Grin, Hunter's process goes from this to this. Grin's CRM for influencer marketing streamlines the entire content creation process. Here's how it works. First, he uploads his roster of 1,800 influencers into the tool. Second, he connects his e-commerce platform, email, and Slack with one click. Once connected, Grin automatically syncs and starts tracking all of his communication. Grin aggregates his branded content and puts it into a searchable library so he can download assets and share them across the organization. We show him who he needs to follow up with and who's behind on content. We help him attribute content-based revenue and influencer revenue across his whole program, and help him collect W-9s and manage payments at scale, plus a whole lot more. And with Grin, Hunter's able to get 10x the content in half the time, and he's stoked. He crushes his KPIs, he probably gets a promotion. My name is Brandon, I'm the CEO of Grin, the CRM for influencer marketing. We're in the middle of a massive shift of consumer attention where traditional channels are declining and mobile social is on the rise. And in this new environment, smart brands understand that the customer journey begins with content. The average customer engages with 11 pieces of content prior to making a purchase. And the truth is that influencer content is the most engaging and cost-effective to generate at scale. And this has created an entirely new discipline, influencer marketing. This is Google search volume from 2004 until now. And the craziest thing about this chart is that a few short years ago, this didn't exist. And now there are 108,000 influencer marketing managers on LinkedIn and 28,000 open jobs on ZipRecruiter, and it's growing every day. This is a massive opportunity that's being driven by a fundamental shift in consumer behavior. I'm proud to say that today we have 100 paying companies using Grin, brands like Movement Watches, Diff Eyewear, iHeartMedia, Zoomies, and a whole lot more. We're a SaaS business model, and we're on a very healthy growth rate. We're currently at 840,000 in ARR. We've been growing at 19% a month for the last 12 months straight. I'm Brandon. I'm the CEO of Grin, the CRM for influencer marketing. We're powering content for the world's best brands. Thanks.
Okay, well done. What metric are you tracking?
ARR, so up 8% versus prior week, currently at 840K in ARR.
What explains that ginormous week?
So as you guys know, we were struggling a few weeks back. We restructured the sales team, and the changes have been firing because we've been filling top of funnel faster than ever before.
How many times have you restructured your sales team? Over what period of time?
Twice over the course of 8 months.
Yep. Just so folks know, this is the life of enterprise software sales, is restarting your team and trying again until you get it right. It never ends. Okay, questions from our judges.
I'm interested, you said in the presentation that within 30 days after sign up, they could see these results. Is that 30 days because it takes you a while to do a bunch of stuff? Is that just what you see on average before people get engaged? Is that, I'm trying to figure out if that's friction that's going to cause you to be slow to scale or if it's something else.
Yeah, my question is, are you skating to where the puck is going? What I mean by that is influencer marketing has been grew massively over a long period of time. And now if you kind of read around, there's a bunch of this backlash type thing, like, oh, people are getting burned on it. It's going to decrease. How confident are you about which way the market trend is going? And are you going to something that sort of is where the peak is maybe possibly behind us?
I'm curious whether your ARR is mostly coming from net new customers or is it expansion within current customers?
I was going to ask about your sales team, sales cycle, and you kind of touched on it at the end, but I guess what's different this time?
Everyone's already asked, so I'm going to pass it on.
Same with me.
Okay. Test. Thank you. Good questions. Rob, so why 30 days for onboarding? It can be much quicker than that. Depends on the customer. It's really around scheduling and coordinating training calls. So we have some customers who are able to get launched within 7 to 10 days, get all of their data mapped into the tool. So the timing is just a function of coordinating internally, and there's no technology friction. So Ted, so skating to where the puck is going, is this a trend? Why build this business now? So what you're seeing with influencer marketing is that all the first movers built marketplaces. These are really transactional and they work short term for brands. Once it starts working, they want to bring the function in-house, hence the growth of the role. So our tool is best built for brands that want to own this process in-house. We don't think it's a fad because really what it is just content generation at scale that drives revenue for you. And content is massively important and it will never go away. So James, the ARR growth versus net new versus expansion. So it's like 95% net new. We're still working on how to drive expansion. We drive some expansion, but this is an area of focus for us. Warren, sales cycle metrics. So sales cycles, 45 days. It's a mix of inbound and outbound. And the current team is 2 AEs, 2 BDRs, and 1 market response rep. And it's super healthy metrics. We spend $1 and make $4.50 in ARR predictably. Thanks.
Done. The order of the companies is picked randomly, in case you were wondering, and this is our 8th company. You'll be asked to give your 3, 2, 1 in a moment. Remember, no ties, no lobbying for an extra vote. 3 minutes on the clock for Blackthorn. 3, 2, go.
Hi, I'm Chris from Blackthorn, and we're building modern event management. Interactive Advertising Bureau is one of our customers. They're based in New York. They're a 60,000 member association, and they have all of their data in Salesforce. Connor is our lead stakeholder. He's the director of IT. His big headache is that they had way too many apps. They were hard to maintain. They had no central portal, and there was no central view of the person that was interacting with them, their member. They were using Cvent, Eventbrite, Attendify, Fontiva. None of these tools together could solve what they were trying to do. So currently, as a member of IAB, I go to their homepage. I click in on sign in. I'm taken to a prompt. I can access the same data then from our mobile app. So once they then log into the IAB application, which is our app, they can then access any of their data relevant to events or anything else that IAB wishes to expose. So once they see those events, they can then go into an overview of the event. They can do a checkout, just like a normal event software that anybody has used before. But then the difference is that once they're in this authenticated application, they can then interact with the app at the event. So they can then direct message with other people. They can send meetup requests, and they can opt to do these meetups right from within the app. So the benefit then is that within Salesforce, in their CRM, where everybody's living, they can then see all the times that that person has attended, the number of events, any donations that they've given, the number of meetups they've requested. No other software is delivering this type of experience to the business. So we actually hosted a big conference to them in the last few days. They had 700 people check in from our mobile check-in app. They had over 550 meeting requests with over 100 meetings facilitated. And they did this all with one singular technology stack and one single view of their contact. So why is this important? They now have one data source instead of 5+. There's no code that they had to write to be able to make this happen. It's accessible on all devices, and they're using one solution, which is the Blackthorn stack. So our testimonials, we now have an association, a for-profit, and a non-profit company who are all using the same type of stacks. We're able to expand on our type of customers using it. The market opportunity, basically anyone who's using Salesforce that runs events can be able to use our stack. The Salesforce Foundation has partnered with us to go after their higher ed customers, all their universities. And we're now talking to multiple universities, very large nonprofits, as well as very large for-profits. This is my second company that I founded. My previous one was a Salesforce services company, which is why I'm very sensitive to building all these things out custom. I don't think that people should have to be able to do that. John spent the last 20 years building systems. He can build just about anything. This is Bennett's third sales team that he's building from the ground up. And we're supported by our globally distributed team, and we can build just about anything, which is what we're marching towards here. We've been growing at 14% month over month in 2018. We're just over 570K ARR. We're going to be about 600 by the end of the year. Through our platform, we've processed over $100 million so far, and we get some revenue from this as well. I'm Chris from Blackthorn, and we're building modern event management for enterprise businesses. Thanks.
Okay, well done. What's the metric you're tracking week over week?
So we've been growing at 4% week over week since the beginning of the incubator. We sold another 10K last week.
Fantastic. Let's take questions from our judges.
So you talked about nonprofits, for-profits, and associations. I'm just wondering where you see the best growth prospects between those three.
I'm curious on the size of the market and whether you've segmented it and which piece you're going after first, and then how you plan to grow that.
I was going to ask about your current customers and pipeline, but it looks like part of that's up there.
I don't have any questions.
How do you get event attendees to be activated to use the app?
I'm curious about your pricing model. It doesn't seem like there's a direct correlation between closed deals and new ARR, so I'm just wondering how you charge.
Okay, good questions. 2 minutes. Okay, David, so the where is going to be our best growth. So the same stack can be used by multiple types of companies, but the best growth is ones who use all of our modules to be able to manage events, donations, payments. This happens to be a lot of the big nonprofits, the bigger associations. It becomes really sticky for them. So unlike all the other event apps out there and donation apps, it's easy to hop between them. Once you get this into your company, you just don't leave. Shripriya, the size of the market. So 2 of the customers that are prospects we're working on right now both represent about 300K ARR opportunities. So Salesforce is a weird place where you can get a deal for 5 users or multi-thousand users, just both come inbound. So the size of the market, if we had 200, 300 of these much larger customers, we can get up to 50 million, 100 million ARR. But a lot of these bread and butter deals that keep coming in. So we're working the bread and butter ones while we're also working on the bigger ones at the same time. More in the current customer base and the pipeline, it's that mix. So we got a lot of the smaller ones in the door, but Salesforce partners and Salesforce themselves are bringing us a lot of these much bigger ones, which have much longer lead times to be able to move. Ted, so the question was, how do we get event attendees onto here? So Apple changed their marketplace where you can't distribute just apps per event every single time, but you can still deliver an application for the organization that it's their own app. So for instance, a university could deliver our app. It's a web app that runs inside of their own container, so it becomes their own university application. So if you're someone attending, all you have to do is sign up for that app once. It authenticates through our platform, and they can actually manage the authentication through Salesforce then. And Rob, the pricing model, so we charge per user in Salesforce. We charge per transaction for paid checkouts, and we have a revenue share on the back end for payment processing. So thanks.
Okay, well done. Judges, you saw 8 great companies, and now it's time to awkwardly spin around with your orange label with your name on it, face the founders, and crush their souls by telling them which 3 startups you love the most. Who's ready? Rob, you look ready, born ready. Give us your number 3 and your number 2. Don't tell us why, just tell us who they are.
Is it on? Number 3 is Blackthorn. Number 2 was Loop.
Great. Mr. Ted Wang.
Number 3 is Taffy. Number 2 is Ballooner.
James Wu.
Number 3 is Tutor Me. Number 2 is Blackthorn.
Okay, Warren.
Same for me. Tutor Me and Blackthorn.
Sri Priya.
Same order.
Sri Priya?
Sri Priya.
Priya. I'm going to get it. Priya.
Number 3 is Tutor Me, and number 2 is Ballooner.
Sri Priya. Like Prius. Got it. Prius. Got it. David.
Number 3 is Blackthorn, and number 2 is Panty Prop.
Okay, now hold one moment with that microphone. Demont, tell us who's in first and second.
3 points for Blackthorn and 2 points for Ballooner.
Fantastic. David, tell us who you picked as your number 1 startup and why. You can expand on this one.
Okay, sure. I picked Ballooner. I just think, again, it's really something that can help remedy implicit bias. I think companies are realizing more and more how much they are harmed by implicit bias as well as society, and so I just think it's the right thing at the right time.
Great.
My number 1 was Panty Prop. I don't think there's been real innovation in that market for centuries, if not decades. I think you're doing really well. You're number 2 with very little work, and I think it's going to be a great acquisition for one of the big brands. So.
Fantastic. Warren.
Ballooner, my number 1. I work for a relatively large organization. We've got a lot of tools that we're using for this exact same thing, whether it's internal or external. And I think having one place to go would be ideal.
Fantastic. James.
My number 1 is Taffy. Clearly, Microsoft is very focused on healthcare, and data integration is a huge problem, and we're actually looking at a couple investments in that space. So, find me.
Fantastic. What's the scoring right now? Ballooner?
Ballooner is in first place with 6 points, and Panty Prop now and Blackthorn are tied for second with 3 points.
Got it.
Okay, yeah, my number 1 was actually Loop. I worked with Path. I'm convinced this is going to code is going to get cracked, and people don't want to share. Public and private sharing is a totally different activity.
Great.
And my number 1 was Panty Prop. I think it's amazing what they've done, in such a short amount of time with not a lot of capital. It's pretty impressive. It seems like it's a really, really big market. So.
Yeah. Okay, Demont, tell us, where are we at?
We had a tie for third place with Loop and Blackthorn with 3 points. Second place was Panty Prop with 5, and winning today was Ballooner with 6 points.
Okay, well done. Okay, let's take 15 minutes or so and meet the judges. Okay, well done. Let's give a big round of applause to our judges for spending all that time.